In 1972, my parents are living in Spain because instead of having American jobs, they want to be writing the great American novel, like separately. They both want to write the great American novel. And it's very cheap to live in Spain, and this tiny town just outside of Madrid is filled with other expats from all over the world who have had exactly the same idea. Basically, it's like if you took the whole of the junction and then you shoved them through a wormhole and they ended up in 1972 Spain. That would be this town. There's like 3 actual Spanish people living there, but the expats are always walking around like, we're having such an authentic Spanish experience right now. So the idea is, I'm about to be born. I'm gonna grow up in this town and learn German and Russian and Italian. I might even learn a little bit of Spanish. And in time, I also will drink sherry and pretend that I have read 101 Years of Solitude all the way through. And then I'm born and I have a very severe cleft palate, which means this bit here and then all the way back, it's not connected. So if you think about the way a little kid draws a cat's mouth, that's what I look like in my baby pictures. And the doctors in Spain immediately say, you must go back to the States to have this taken care of. So my bewildered parents pick up their weird-looking new baby, and they leave their pickup truck and their typewriters and their chickens and their 2-room adobe house, and we all end up in Baltimore. In 1972, Baltimore is an industrial town. It's just row after row of concrete buildings over slush-covered streets. I am in and out of the hospital getting surgery after surgery. But when I am home, I'm breastfeeding off whatever long-haired, tie-dye wearing breastfeeding mother happens to be at our house, or I'm walking with my mom to the library to get records to play on our record player, Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Mozart. My dad and I dance around the living room. We actually own one record, Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf. And my parents put on the Wolf theme. Da 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 dun 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 da da. Da, da, and they stalk me around the house while I run, screaming with Pee Your Pants terror, because at 3, I'm pretty sure that the wolf theme temporarily turns my parents into wolves, which on the one hand is scary, but on the other hand is the best. So, around about this point, my dad starts flirting with, and then dating, and then falls hopelessly, madly in love with the American dream. But my mom doesn't care because she has already fallen in love with a woman. So in the midst of all of this chaos, the doctor sits my dad down, and he says, I am so sorry. You've been diagnosed with latent right-wing tendencies. But my mom doesn't care because she just got diagnosed with schizophrenia. And then one day, my dad wakes up and he looks outside and his car is covered in this much snow. And it's not like fluffy snow, it's the kind you have to chip at while the wind howls past your ears. And he thinks, if I do nothing else in this life, I'm gonna live the rest of it in California. My mom doesn't get that choice because they've thrown her in the nut house. My dad does the custody kidnap thing, picks me up from school one day and literally drives me to California across the whole of the United States, and I don't see my mom for the next 4 years. Eventually, I'm allowed to spend 2 weeks with her in the summer. And one day, I'm in her San Antonio, Texas living room. It's 113 degrees outside, and I have my legs up in the air so I can get the maximum amount of fan wind, and my face is beaded with sweat. I'm reading Agatha Christie, and my mom is reading Doris Lessing, and then we're stopping every once in a while to read the best parts aloud to each other. And Then my mom looks up like she just got reminded of something she meant to tell me but forgot. And knowing my mom, this is very likely what has just happened. And she says, "Your dad has told you he's not your biological father, right?" Alicia was shocked by this. That's about my reaction. I'm sitting there. I'm like, "What? Your dad never told you?" Well, in the early 70s, nobody cared who spent the night with who. So in the evenings, I would walk up to Colin's house. Colin was from Scotland, and he lived there with his wife, Catherine, and his 2 little girls, who, by the way, look just like you do now. And I would spend the night with Colin, and then his wife would walk down the hill and spend the night with your dad. I'm sitting there, what? Now, in my head, I'm thinking about how my mom is just brutally honest with me, even when it's painful. She doesn't even give me the upper hand when we play Scrabble. She's like, "Kaleidoscope," and I'm like, "Cat." My dad lies like he breathes. He once told me that I should not be a lesbian because every single lesbian in the whole of the planet Earth was on food stamps. And if I became a lesbian, I would be automatically poor. So, on the other hand, my mom is officially crazy and my dad is sane, though he does believe that if you touch the walls in the New York City subway system, you will immediately get AIDS. So, and I don't pursue it because I don't want to know which one is lying to me. But it weighs on me. It weighs heavier and heavier. Until finally, I get my dad's youngest sister alone and I beg her for the truth. And she looks at me and she says, "Sage, when I look at you, I see your dad's blue eyes looking back at me." Which, as you may have noticed, is not a confirmation or denial of anything. And after that, my dad's side of the family never speaks of it again. And I don't think about it very much. I mean, as my dad falls deeper into the loving arms of the American dream, when he says to me that I shouldn't go get a haircut because a fat girl with a haircut is so much more repulsive than just a fat girl, when his girlfriend beats her kid for accidentally spilling paint on the floor, beats him for 10 minutes with a belt, and my dad just stands there, I think of it then. I'm 39 years old. My mom died a couple of years ago, and I haven't spoken to my dad in 20 years, and I am not ever going to know the truth. And I feel like my cleft palate was a blessing. I am not a summer person. I do not belong under blue skies, behind adobe walls still warm from the sun long into the evening. I belong here. Bustling home with shopping bags filled with cookie ingredients, a big wool hat and a scarf, cheeks bright red. Making cookies with my husband and my son as the wind howls outside. And Rachmaninoff blasts out of the speaker, and as I watch them make cookies, I think about how maybe there's a guy in his late 60s. Maybe he lives just outside of Madrid. Maybe he runs a pub and he has blue eyes and he loves to tell stories. But if I could summon a man to stand in my kitchen, to watch my son saying, "We need some flour, oh mama, put some flour in the bowl," it would be the man who held me and danced to that song.